Welcome back to our talk on metagenomic data analysis. Till now we have understood what is a metagenome, and we now know that metagenome refers to host and associated microbes in a given ecological niche. We have understood that in metagenomic analysis we will be able to observe not only the diversity but functioning and phenotyping of these microbes. We have two important platforms to study these microbes. They are Mothur or CHIME. We have metagenomic data is collected from the environmental samples, and we could do it as a single gene or whole genome analysis. Likewise, we also have metatranscriptomics and metaproteomics. So now we'll talk about the flow, bioinformatic flow, how the data is analyzed, stepwise analysis of the data. So that's a small cartoon where I'm just trying to show you that how remembering and applying different methods in the field, especially the machine learning, has really boosted the bioinformatic analysis of metagenomic data. So of any bioinformatic analysis of metagenomic data, we have three main goals. The first one is we want to know who is there and what is their relative abundance. So we try to use the marker gene sequences as a proxy for microbial community, and we understand who all is there and in how much number. Then we also try to know that can we divide them into subpopulations based on the sequence variation, and to do this well we must be able to distinguish the true variants from the artificial variants due to PCR amplification or sequencing errors. So we must have the tools to distinguish between the artificial variants like PCR amplification or sequencing, or they are actually representing a species or a subpopulation. And the next is we want to understand how these populations are interacting, or what role they are performing, or what function they have in a community. So for this one I've just taken back the workflow which I showed you earlier, and I will talk about each step now in more details, that what do we do at each step and how do we reach to the data, which softwares we use, and how this can be improved. So first we have input of the sequences which we have observed from previous collection, like maybe 16S sequences or the whole genomic sequences. We input them as FASTQ or maybe as mapping files for metadata. So once the sequence is input, it's a huge task to pre-process these sequences, meaning we must know that these sequences are of good quality, there is no contamination in these sequences, and we need to have few other features like multiplexing. We need to perform these activities to make sure that the differences which we are talking in the sequences are actually making sense. So in pre-processing we do quality filtering, and what do we do in quality filtering is we isolate the sequences, we just discard the sequences which are not of good quality, which are going to create a mess or confuse the analysis. And we have several these quality filtering tools available, like at CHIME also we have this FASTQC, that with that one we can get a quick summary of our sequence quality. And we also have quality filtering tools available like maybe QTA-DAPT or this SQL. You can use them to assess the quality, but before going for the analysis of this metagenomic data we must know the quality. Then we have demultiplexing. What do we do here is that for isolation of the sequences we use primers, isolation and amplification we use barcodes, and we need to remove those before we go for this sequencing analysis. And we also need to, because sometimes the sequences are mixed, the data sources are, the sample sources are different, so we must be able to link them back to the samples from where they have come. This is what we do in multiplexing, and QIIME has different scripts to help you prepare your sequence files for analysis. So, but this is a very important step which must be done before further analysis. The pre-processing, and the other thing which we do in pre-processing is decontamination. What we do here is that sometimes, you know, what happens is that the bacterial sequences are less, maybe where host and non-bacterial DNA is outnumbered, meaning is greatly outnumbering, and then the bacterial DNA. So in that situation, what happens is we must check that the 16S references sequences from bacteria have come. So that is decontamination, is that we must make sure that we have 16S references sequences before we go for further analysis in 16S or the this metagenomic analysis for single gene. So that was the first step, which I say is the most important step. We must make sure that our sequences, our data is not contaminated, and is a very good one for analysis, because if we leave the errors at this step, that is going to give us a very good outcome and the result. So next step in data analysis here in the workflow is identification or picking of OTUs and ASVs. So we'll talk about what are OTUs, what are ASVs, but basically what we do here is we generate clusters. So what is OTU? First of all, OTU is the operating taxonomic unit. So OTU is operating taxonomic unit. Basically it is a consensus sequence for a cluster, and the threshold usually kept for this one is 97%. So OTU is the cluster basically with the similarity threshold of 97%, but it's a consensus sequence for that cluster, and it refers, you know, we can usually take this as a unit organism, and in the morphological studies, if we do similar things, we would call that as a species. But in this metagenomic, OTU usually refers to one unit organism that could be related to any species, and all the individuals in an OTU are assumed to perform the same role or a function in a community, meaning OTU is a sequence which is forming a cluster, and all the sequences in this cluster are expected to perform the same role. But what was happening is with this OTU we had certain problems, and because of that, meaning there were more errors. We'll talk about that in details just after this one. Before I would like to introduce the ASVs. So what are ASVs? ASVs are amplicon sequence variants. Amplicon sequence variants. And what was happening with OTUs is that was prone to errors, meaning huge errors were coming, and meaning the false negatives, false positives were coming in identification. So the problem was this threshold of 97%. In that, these were the main cause of problem with OTU clustering. Then what happened? Fresh algorithms were written, and ASVs were recognized, and ASVs can overcome these errors because they don't depend on the fixed threshold, and they give you error free, a better a realistic realistic clusters and realistic information about the biological data. So taking it further, how do we do OTU picking, and then we'll talk about ASVs. So OTU, I said, is usually the threshold taken is 97%. We have three approaches for OTU picking in QIIME. One is de novo clustering, other is closed reference, and then we have open reference for OTU picking. So how this is done is, first is de novo. In de novo, what we do is we group sequences based on sequence identity, right? We analyze the sequence and we group the sequences on the basis of sequence identity. But in closed reference, we match these sequences to a already existing database of reference sequences, and the unmatched sequences are discarded. So in de novo we analyze the sequence based on sequence identity, but here we match them with the already existing database and discard all unmatched sequences. And in open reference, what we do is we first match them with the already existing sequences, and then the remaining one, we don't discard them, we identify the way we identify in de novo, meaning we have best of both of these. So taking further, what happens in de novo is we do pairwise comparison in the sequences, then we do hierarchical clustering, and we get the cluster formed. And but the main thing here is that it takes a lot of time, and the information which is coming here is not complete, and it is done only when we don't have a reference database available. We have no option except to do de novo. But much better than this is when we can compare that with the existing pre-identified database, like in the closed reference. But I said already, this leads to lot of novel sequences being discarded because they didn't match to any in the already existing database. So even this was closed reference was also not suitable for many studies. Then we have open reference, which has I said has best of both the worlds, and here we can use the pre-existing databases, and then the remaining sequences are analyzed by pairwise comparison or maybe by hierarchical clustering. So that was about OTU picking. Then I told you about ASVs. ASVs are quite important, and when we design a framework for present day acceptability, because ASVs are accurate, they are based on DADA algorithm, DADA 2 algorithm, that is the popular algorithm written for identification of these clusters or amplicon picking, and ASVs are much more accurate than OTUs because they don't have a fixed similarity threshold. So this can distinguish between sequence variants differing as little as one nucleotide, and that makes it accurate as compared to OTUs. So we can pick both OTUs and ASVs by these methods, and new methods here are being designed. After we have picked, we try to give them a name, like this OTU is belonging to a bacteria or it is a fungal OTU. So taxonomic assignment is that we giving name to these clusters, and this can be easily done by similarity searching algorithms. Like this is a taxonomic summary of one analysis, is that we try to identify how many eukaryotes or maybe how many fungal species here, how many bacterial species here, and so in taxonomic assignment we have several tools available. The most common one, BLAST, that we have done in details and is the most easy one. We don't need to explain that. We can also do this by phylogenetic placement, that we'll be talking about just now after this one. And we have a pplacer, a software for that one, you can do with that one also. Then we have machine learning classification also for taxonomic assignment, and here we have RDP classifier. So we can use any one of these, and here I have just summarized what is the process in taxonomic profiling, and our aim is to reach to what? To reach to the names given to these sequences wherever possible. So we get OTUs as clusters, we specify the matching algorithm, meaning which algorithm we are going to use, and then we would specify which database we are going to use for aligning, and then we get the output. So in taxonomic profiling, we get good meaning reasonably names for many of the sequences, but not for all, because new and novel sequences, they do exist. We have several taxonomic databases for metagenomic analysis, like RDP, that is more similar to NCBI taxonomy, and we can easily do this with this one, but this is based on machine learning tools, the RDP classifier. We have Green Genes database, that is preferred by CHIME. We have Silva, that is preferred by Mothur. So similarly, we have few other databases available, all perform depending upon your requirement, what you are trying to do with your data. You can select any one of these databases. So next in the workflow is that what we get out of this clustering and taxonomic assignment, OTU picking, we get a OTU table. What is OTU table? Is sample by sample observation matrix, meaning first we'll identify all the OTUs, like here I have labeled them as OTU1, OTU2, OTU3, and then in the vertical we write the samples in this matrix. And once this matrix is ready, we can quickly reach to the downstream analysis and analyze this data for various parameters which we want to study. But there can be another way to analyze this data and reach to this stage, that is a simpler one which we have studied already, that is the sequence alignment and phylogenetic analysis. So in sequence alignment, we align the sequence in order to infer their phylogenetic tree, and phylogenetic tree can same way be used for diversity analysis. We can use Clustal, but here because we have they will make it slow because we have large number of sequences. Usually Pinast or Inferal, that serves as a better software for these sequence analysis. We can do phylogenetic analysis same way, and for this phylogenetic tree construction, we can construct a tree from multiple sequence alignment, and again for construction of tree we can use fast tree software which is recommended by CHIME. So with either we used the OTU picking or we get a OTU table, and if we use phylogenetic analysis we get a phylogenetic tree. I think I missed one tree. Yeah, I showed you this. Yes. So we reach to the downstream analysis. Either method we used, but it is ultimately what we want to do with this data is we can do alpha diversity analysis. We can analyze a lot of ecological parameters for diversity, maybe alpha diversity, beta diversity, gamma diversity, richness, evenness, phylogenetic distance we can calculate with the phylogenetic trees, and we can calculate Shannon entropy. We have dozens of different measures given in CHIME, and we can use these methods to get good graphs, good information about the organisms, what they are doing there and how they are interacting with each other. So that was about it, is that how do we analyze this data in the bioinformatic flow, and we reach to this information is the alpha diversity. We can analyze several ecological parameters. But what is happening is that things are not that simple. Like we get lots of error. The simple individual genomic data, like maybe of course in genomic data we have huge lot of genes involved. Say maybe in case of human genome data you have huge number of genes, but environmental data compared to that is very, very complex. So that is more error prone. We cannot use the same ways to analyze the environmental data, and there were errors coming, and these errors needed to be addressed. Similarly, we have this chimeric contigs in assembly, we had under assembly. Similarly, we had false negatives and false positives in gene identification or gene labeling. So we needed additional methods for these analysis, and several other techniques have been tried. Machine learning is one of them. So first let me define what is machine learning. The machine learning system is doing what? They improve with experience, meaning their algorithms, they take experience into consideration. Contrary to a system employing a classical deterministic algorithm, an ML algorithm, it exploits the pattern observed in datasets to fine tune and adapt its decisions. So it improves the analysis in addition to the our normal routine deterministic ways. So what we do here, what are the components of a typical ML program? It has three main components. One is experience in the form of data, we have tasks in the form of output of the algorithm, we have objective in the form of performance measurement of a given output. So this ML algorithms have been quite routinely now. We have several softwares at several steps in the bioinformatic program where ML has been used, ML algorithms have been used for improving the performance of metagenomic analysis. I have few examples here. The examples, like I have just cited one example for each part, like in classification of sequences, we use random forest method of machine learning, and it is used in 16S classifier. Example is 16S classifier, and it is used for taxonomic assignment. Same way, if we want to, in data analysis, if we want to reduce in dimension reduction, like for example in LSA, it is used for binning, and it is quite routinely used now. It has improved the performance of binning. Same way, we can use machine learning methods in clustering, like we have eSPIRIT. In eSPIRIT, in this example, it uses hierarchical clustering, and it has really improved the OTU clustering, and the errors were much less. So since I could just introduce you machine learning, but I still believe that machine learning is going to improve the metagenomic data analysis a lot. So with this one, I come to an end. I have finished off, and probably if you like, I can summarize it once again. We learnt about metagenomic data analysis. We understood how much is the potential of this study, and we appreciated how bioinformatic tools have really made it possible to analyze the environmental data the same way as we analyze the genomic data. And machine learning, another computational method, is consistently working to improve the metagenomic data analysis. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you very much.